Hey, g'day, and welcome back. Okay, Riley, can you come here? Be in the video. Give me a hand. Oh, look, I would hold you, but you're really heavy. No, I'm sorry. I stole her dinosaur.
Right.
For the video, for the mic. Anyway, yeah. So we're here. Been a while since I've done a video on like my cars and stuff. I posted a few videos from my Snapchat and whatever, but I have not done any videos on my cars for a bit because, huh? You know, a dinosaur? Oh, I'm sorry. Here, look. So when the people ask where my mic stand is, tell them you got it, okay? All my cars are in varying degrees of broken at the moment, except my Camaro, but I'll still do a video on it. I've got Valerie here with issues. I mean, Fairlane, there's been a bit going on with it that hasn't made it to the internet. And then there's also got Mr. Mullet. Mr. Mullet's in the shed at work, so we'll go up there a bit later and I'll show you what's going on with him. So anyway, first cab off the rank is Valerie. Now Valerie does go, she still runs, but what happens is when you are driving, you can drive along, just coast along the road and you don't have a problem. As soon as you poke his nose up a hill or you want to get into it, it just sucks all the fuel out of the carb and it just won't keep up. Now, what? Yes. Mum. Yeah, Mum's up there. I have to take you up there. Jasmine. She wants you. Go on, Mum. Go on. Bye. I love you. Go on. As I have 3 emotional ass women in my house at the moment, and they wonder why I want to do videos all the time. All full of emotions and carrying on. We good now? She took me mic stand. As I said, when you coasting along the motorway or the road or going down a hill or whatever, not a problem. As soon as you poke his nose up a hill or you want to like merge, like pulling out of someone's driveway into like an 80k zone, trying to get up to speed, it'll go good and then it'll stop. And what's happening is it's sucking all the fuel out of the bowl in the carburetor, and it can't keep up. Now it's got a new tank, it's got a new fuel pump, the carby's been reconditioned. What else has it got? Fresh fuel in it. Everything's been done. New filter, all the fuel stuff's been done. The only thing that hasn't been done is the hose, the new fuel line. So I have to get Valerie to work. To put a new fuel line in it. I've got a whole heap of -6 bloody braided line there from left over from a job, so I'll end up putting that through it. But I can't drive it there because I won't make it. I'll just have to, I'll get the truck in and we'll take her up there and whatever eventually, and I'll do the job one day, but I'll start her up. So I just did like a video on me starting this for the first time in months. And it was great and all, but I didn't press film on the camera. I actually took a photo. I pressed the button thinking it's going to film and it was a photo. So here's the photo. There's a nice little photo like a bloody dickhead. Anyways, let's check it's filming now. It's filming. It is rolling. Oh, God. That's that. Anyway, that's your video on Valerie, your little piece of video on Valerie. That's the story on Valerie. On to the next vehicle. So the next vehicle is the Camaro. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Been driving around a little bit and haven't had a problem. All only thing is I put this sticker on the other day and it's wonky, but that's nothing out of the unusual for me. Everything I do is a bit wonky. So yeah, anyway, other than she needs a good polish, we're good. So that's that one. We'll go on to the next motor car. All right, so Jesus Christ. I tried to film this bit yesterday, and I did film a lot of it. But one, I talked too much, and two, the local junkie was freaking on a rampage, and I interrupted my videos. There's a junkie coming here. Anyway, if you get the wheels or so. Anyway. Fairlane, we're on to the Fairlane. It's sick. It goes. I got it going. Needed a fuel pump. I put the fuel pump in it. It's been running ever since. did a service on it, new air filter, new fuel filter, all that stuff. Yeah, and she sounds beautiful. Not a problem. So when I had two things I wanted to do to this car, I had to do to this car, was get rid of the rat smell by replacing the carpet, which is what I thought would fix it. And two, I wanted to do all the suspension because it was 30-year-old suspension, still had the air shocks in the back of it, and they were all collapsed and bloody buggered and leaking and whatever. I've done those two things now. I did the new carpet and I put new suspension under it. So the carpet went well. I did make a video on it, but I abandoned it. I didn't end up finishing the video or anything because I thought I was going to smash out the carpet in one day, but that didn't happen. I got close, but then the kids were playing up and whatever, so I had to scrap what I was doing that day, and then I had to finish it at night time in the backyard, so it just didn't happen. Not only that, the carpet doesn't fit too well, because when you buy a moulded carpet for a motor car, it's not as moulded as you think. Like, as in, they mould it around a tunnel and say, here's 2 pieces of carpet, go make that work in your motor car. Whereas you look at the OEM carpet that come out of the car, it was all nicely moulded everywhere, like around the back seats, and it was all nice and beautiful and full of holes and whatever, except it stunk. And then, mind you, in the middle of doing the carpet, there was the bit, you might have seen it, where I found all the rat's nest up behind the dash. Boom, all that come from behind the dash. So the dash left to come out now, because one, it stinks, I don't know what's going on up there, but two, the aircon doesn't work. It's got no vacuum to the bloody over there, because all the dash, all the aircon and whatnot's vacuum controlled, so that's an issue. But other than that, could have washed it, Jesus Christ. I did the suspension, so I wanted to lower it because it's, it's meant to be low and slow. So I got super lows, which is meant to be 2 inches lower, and I got that. I put them in the front and in the back, and then the thing sat like this. And so I rang my supplier and I said, what in the bloody hell is going on here? He said, that's just how they are. So then the back got lower. And I'm not going to tell you how it got lower, but it just did. It was by magic. So going on with the car, there's a few different things I want to do to it. Wayno's over there at the moment. He's painting me a boot lid with no spoiler and a new bumper bar for the back. The bumper bar is cracked on this one, whatever, so I went and got another one. He's painting that, and that's just a matter of making it easier. The boot lid, I don't like the wing. Some people like the wing. See, Pat. Some people like the wing. I don't like the wing. Some people do like the wing. I don't like the wing. It's just, I don't know, it is original and whatever, and whatnot. But I would never take the wing off and like get the holes filled in and bugger eyes around with that boot lid. I'd like to have it. I don't do anything so that it's not permanent. So I like to be able to reverse what I do to cars. So if I put this new boot lid on and I prefer it with a wing, I'll put this boot lid back on or whatever. So it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so once that's done, the whole car needs a good buff and like a proper paint correction. Like it's all, someone's been washing it with a broom or something by the looks of it, but there's that, and also the tint, window tint, which is proving quite hard for me to deal with because all the window tinters work the same as I do, and they're in Coffs and shit, so then I've got to like get in there, and then during my work hours I need to get back, and then it's the same when I need to pick it up, and it's just too hard for me to do. And the other thing is these wheels. How's this? Let me talk to you about some bloody wheels. These wheels, I wanted to get some different wheels all my life because my mum and dad had one of these with these wheels on it, and I absolutely freaking hated them. I reckon they look terrible. Now I'm a bit older, I reckon they're sick. So I looked at all these different wheels and whatever, and like, it's usually mainly standard wheels, not anything too crazy. I do have a set of 19-inch wheels here off an FG, and then I've got to put bloody spacers on it, and that's illegal. And if I get into a crash and insurance, just not worth it. And all that's just too hard. So what I have come to is I cannot think of any wheel that's going to look better than that on this car. You wouldn't put these wheels on anything else, but because they're on this, I reckon they're sick. So the plan is, I'm just in the middle of saving some money at the moment, hence why there's been no videos. I want to get these wheels brought up to like a mirror finish, like you can get them I've been made in Coffs Brent. He does alloy wheels himself in his shed. He vapor blasts them and buffs the buggery out of them, and he's going to do that for me. I was in the middle of trying to save some money for it, but that's it. That's the story with the Fairlane. I eventually would like an exhaust and that on it too, but who cares for that? There's more important things to worry about than making your car horrendously noisy. Anyway, that's that. We'll go have a look at Mr. Mullet. How's that? I'm so pissed about yesterday and how it interrupted my video. I don't even have my cool shirt on anymore. The cool shirt from my video, the Hawaiian shirt, had all little Mr. Mullets all over. I didn't even get to talk about it. But anyway, look, that shirt, how's that? I went to wear that shirt in public and I felt like a dickhead. You know who I look like? I look like, remember the episode of The Simpsons when Homer had to get to 300 pounds to be on the disability pension, and he wore that big I'll put a picture in here to compare us, but yeah, that's what I felt like I look like anyway. But yeah, anyway, so Mr. Mullet, for those of you who do not know, or I haven't actually put the video from Supernats on my YouTube yet, or I probably won't. I should probably put the clip in here of it banging a rod. It currently has a conrod hanging out of it. Well, here's a video of when it happened. Banged a rod, caught bloody fire and oil and shit everywhere. This is actually the first time I've put it on the hoist myself. So we're going to go up in the sky, and we're going to have a sticky beak of what's actually going on under here. Who put this on the hoist? Oh, that's right, it was me, because it's such a fantastic job. I haven't bent down. So what I'll do first is I'll show you what happened, and then I'm going to talk about why it might have happened, because I've got a few different ideas. I don't want to say too much till I pull the motor out and pull it down and actually look at it, but there's a few reasons and a few things that went on with this motor. But we'll show you the damage first, because that's the fun bit. Right, you see lots of oil all over the joint. It's been sitting here leaking. Nothing to report. She's Wallaby Ted's uncle, mate. Roo Ted. Yeah, I can't see too much in there, but I don't know if I can really get my camera. That's probably as close as I can get it. Hang on. Oh. Seeing this? Yeah, anyway, it's all minced up. Yeah, so I guess I don't have to worry about me bloody strips unplugged too much now. That sump's done. Gearbox is still good. Yeah, sump's done. There is a hole in the B-lock up there. If you can see the hole there. That's all we know. I'm gonna have to obviously pull it all apart, and while I'm motoring boxes out, I might have to take out the back and give it a degrease. So before I get into it, I'll tell you what the motor was, because I've seen there's a bit of speculation on the internet and different places the car's been posted. People seem to think it was a junkyard motor. No, it wasn't. It had XR6 turbo cams, just standard. Vernier lockouts to stop me bloody variable cam timing from working, because it's got the Haltech and they didn't need that. What else did it have? High performance timing chain. It had the proper oil pump gears and all that shit. Valve springs, H-beam rods and pistons, spool rods and pistons. Had the bloody thing that on the back, what it spins. It has the teeth with the starts. Flywheel, the flywheel. Got a high performance flywheel on it with the the SFI approved bloody thing and whatever. It had all the stuff to make a barra good. That's all it had. It had all the stuff to make a barra good. Can I sit here and say it's a 1,000 horsepower motor? Maybe. maybe it might have run. It could potentially have run that much. Had head studs and all that stuff in it too. It's true. It was only run at 560 horsepower, which, mind you, it's 560 horsepower on the dyno, and when you start your burnout, it might be freaking 560 horsepower, and then for the rest of the burnout, it's 200 horsepower. Like, it's not using that much. Like, it's just heat and revs is what this motor did. So that's what it is. It's just it was a built engine of sorts. I'd call it built. It was in a street car, it would have been a bloody good thing. But because the thing is either off, idling, or flat out, that could have be the reason it blew. Now the reason it blew, I'm yet to have a look. I've got to get the data log, and I also got to pull it apart and have a look and see what actually happened. Obviously a rod left the chat. This engine, since I built it in October, it's been on the dyno, I don't know how many bloody times. Been run lean, it's been run rich, it's been hot, it's been cold, it has been over boosted like you would not believe, been under boosted, it's been over revved. Pretty much everything it shouldn't be done to a motor, this has had. So what happened was, at Summer Nats and a lot of all my other test skids, and this is why the thing kept playing up to start with when I was first trying to get it running, because of that shitty manifold I had on it, and the wastegate and whatever was just playing up, and that's why I did this, so then that was sorted. It was over boosting. Now at Summer Nats, I remember I looked down at my boosting on my Haltech dash, and it was at 30 at my manifold pressure. The Haltech map sensor only goes to 30. So when I was doing a skid, it could have been anything. Who knows how much boost it could have been. The wastegate was seized shut, so it was just boosting as much as my little Chinese turbo would boost. And that's what happened there. It's been over boosted a million times. And over boosting causes all the limp modes and stuff to come on, which evidently buggered spark plugs. So it had been run on 5 cylinders a couple of times. It had all sorts of different stuff had happened. And the other thing is, the rev limiter was set so I wouldn't reach the rev limiter. So it was set, I don't know, it was set at like 7,500, 8,000. And Chris told me, he said, don't take it to the rev limiter, don't go out there and just hold it flat. Rev limiters bugger engines, which is true, considering everything. If you go and just mash a limiter, everything in the whole motor that's going up and down and spinning, everything's going like this, so to speak. It's on, off, and it's really bad for engines. It's just true. It's a fact. So don't take it there. So also, don't take it to the limiter because it's going to over rev. When I did my tip-ins and stuff, I drove the thing too hard. It's no one's fault other than mine. I drove it too hard. What would happen is I would come in for a tip-in and just like the whole burnout, my foot was just flat out. It would rev so high that it wouldn't rev anymore. It wouldn't get to the rev limiter. I did hit it when my gearbox blew. I was banging the limiter. And mind you, I'd say about limiters, it's also on methanol. So methanol cars and limiter, like it's a lot on an engine. You hear some of the big boys go out and bang limiters and whatever in their big methanol bloody cars, but they have the budget to be able to do stuff properly, and I do not. So that's why I've got to sacrifice something, which is, maybe a bit of reliability, maybe a bit of seat time, whatever. But that's just how life works. So it had been over revved, all that shit. The other thing that didn't happen is after brashing that, it sat right there for a whole month while I was trying to work out what I was doing with the gearbox. Didn't know if I was getting my new one or not, and this and that, and eventually just put an old gearbox in it anyway. And in that time, I didn't, before Send It Sundays, so I had Brashnats, a month later Send It Sundays. In that time, it sat here not running for that whole month. I didn't get the injectors out and tested. I didn't get the car put on the dyno and run to check anything. I didn't even change oil. I only did one burnout at Brashnats, but like the whole experience was just rushed. Maybe shouldn't have gone to Send It Sundays in the conditions that we were in. I shouldn't have rushed it, and maybe that was what did it. Who knows? My thoughts is I reckon the injectors shit itself and just bloody leaned out. or maybe the oil pump has let go or it's dropped oil pressure and just spun a bearing and spat a rod. Usually that's how these things happen. But if it's melted a piston to the point where the piston's stuck and the conrod's not, anything can happen. I'm going to pull it apart, see what happens, look at the data log, and then try and work our way around it for next time. Moving on from why the engine blew up, new engine. What am I doing about a new engine? My theory, and is what I've come to, is that 560 horsepower is enough. It maybe for what I'm doing is too much. I'm never going to be able to be like a competitive burnout guy. I don't need that much power for what I'm doing. I'm never going to be good at it. So what I'm thinking is we turn the power down, turn the rev limiter right down. Brock from Coffs Auto Recyclers has given me a gas engine. The gas engine is going to come here if and when I ever get time to pick it up, because I bloody just can't get out of here. I'm going to pick up the engine, rings, bearings, see what I can salvage out of this engine. Like, valve springs and all that sort of stuff should be fine. Get them all looked at and whatever. Maybe I can still salvage the head. I don't know if it's mashed the head. I don't know. More than likely it has. If not, I'll get a head serviced with some springs in it. I'm just going to build like a spicy gassy, put a good oil pump on it, service head, valve springs, my vernier lockouts, with the flex plate and just all the stuff to make a gas barrow good, and run it just a gas barrow with gas internals and stuff in it, all standard stuff, just all updated and new. So from what I can work out, and you ask any other burnout guy too, what we do with engines is not what you're not supposed to do with engines. You go out, you do a burnout. Once you can get around the fact of you're going to be blowing motors up all the time, you're going to have fun. You are going to blow motors up. You go out and rev them to the past what they're meant to be revved to for bloody a minute and a half, 2 minutes at a time. It's just a fact of life. You're going to be popping motors. Heat, revs, two things engines don't like. And it's just what happens. So regardless of whether I have the biggest and the best built friggin' barra motor, it's going to blow up. It might last a little bit longer than maybe a gassy will, but if I can get Brash and that, Summernats, and maybe a couple of little events out of it in a year, I'd be happy, which this thing has. It did that for me. This is worth a bit more, but now it's not. So that's me plan. I'm just going to build a normal engine, make it spicy and whatever, and then just run a little bit less power. Then I won't be scared to take it to rally. I won't be scared to take it anywhere else. I can, maybe do a power cruise or whatever eventually. But for now, I'm aiming for my next event to be Summernats. I'm already booked in. I will be at Summernats, and worst case, it'll be getting an old territory motor again just to get the car there and have some fun with it, just for the weekend. If not, I've got other cars I can take too, but Mr. Mullet will be there, so it's not something to worry about. I don't know when this motor is going to get finished. I'm currently putting the head and all the other stuff back together for Overkill's motor. Once that's finished, motor's coming out. I'll strip down my other motor whenever I pick that up, and I'll see what we can do. But that's what's happening with Mr. Mullet, and that's also what's happening with all my other cars. So that's that. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go home because it's getting late, and goodbye.